You're listening to Straight Outta Stratford 203 with Zach and Julian, the best sports podcast in Connecticut. Sit back and enjoy the ride in 3, 2, 1.
Straight out of Stratford, slinging takes like Stafford, talking all the big games, have a beer right after. When it comes to the facts and the stats we provide, better know that our names will be up in the rafters.
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Straight Outta Stratford podcast, episode number 16. I'm your host, Zach, along with my co-host,
Julian. What's going on, guys? How we doing?
We got quite the week of sports officially going on right now. This has been absolutely nuts the past week since we last recorded. I believe it was last Thursday.
Yep.
Here we are on Friday, and we saw a lot of craziness happen throughout a lot of different sports. We will start out with one thing, which I know it's going to bother you a little bit to bring up because the wound is still kind of open. Yeah, is the New York Yankees postseason run is officially over. They dropped Game 4 to the Toronto Blue Jays in the AL Divisional Series, losing the series 3-1. They lost Game 4 5-2. How are you feeling about the Yankees' run that they had this year, and what do you think kind of happens after this now?
What I'm going to say is when we started the season, I didn't think the team was going to perform the way they did.
In a good way or a bad way?
In a good way.
Okay.
In a good way. Because I thought that the departure of Juan Soto was going to leave a hole in the lineup. And you saw that hole get filled by, right out of the gate, Paul Goldschmidt was hot. Then he cooled off. And then once he finally started to cool off, Cody Bellinger finally arrived in New York. After a month and a half of struggles, Cody Bellinger just snapped and started playing MVP level baseball again. You had Boone seemingly knowing how to manage a team
For the most part.
Putting in players where they needed to be. You had a healthy Luke Weaver who still looked nasty. You had a lot of hype around your bullpen with Fernando Cruz having nasty stuff, seeing him for the first time in pinstripes.
Devin Williams starting the year for you guys.
Devin Williams starting off hot. Not hot, but like...
Well, the hype around him was
exactly.
was very high. I mean, he's
and then
still...
we had a big scare in spring training with Garrett Cole having to be out for the season. And a lot of us were like, well, we have Fried and Rodon, but what's the pitching staff going to look like? And then you have Fried coming out of the gates and just pitching like a Cy Young caliber pitcher.
For most part, I think it was for the year he pitched like that as well, too. I mean, he had his here and there starts.
What I'm saying is like the blister did mess with his starts, but what I'm saying is I'm not saying Fried's a bad pitcher. I'm saying not that like I didn't expect that he could do that. But when you're on a new team in arguably one of the biggest markets in all of sports.
The biggest market in sports, basically. Other than maybe L.A., but yes,
exactly.
Okay, I got what you're saying, yeah.
When you're playing for the quote-unquote big brother team of that market, I'm not trying to like offend you at all.
I know. We won't even talk about it.
Yankee fans are ruthless, and I can be ruthless, but unlike Mets fans, if you're struggling, they won't give you an ovation to help you, like, get your confidence back up.
No, they'll boo the
They
hell
will
out of you.
boo the absolute hell out of you and make sure that you make it known that they do not want you on that team.
Or that they just don't appreciate the way that they've played at all, which, yes,
And
the gist of it
and
is
somebody
correct,
who's handled that perfectly has been Giancarlo Stanton. There have been times where he's been booed, but he handles it with. He comes back. He plays better than before, and then we'll get booed again. He's been booed time after time after time.
I'm surprised he didn't really get it in the playoffs this year either, especially with the way
I'm
he played
surprised.
prior
I'm
years.
surprised with that too. But like back to what I was saying, if Fried was supposedly coming in as our number 2 ace in spring training, right, knowing he has injury history, knowing that he was told one thing and now he's being told something else, if he didn't start the season the way that he started the season, I don't think New York fans would have been
all too happy about
it.
I could see that for sure.
You had Ben Rice clicking with the bat. It was just them coming out of the gate and showing that they still were the team from last season that made the World Series. Then you had the injury bug happen. A lot of relievers in the bullpen went down. Some of them came back, didn't look the same. You had Loaiza throw 1 inning maybe. I was probably pitching a few games, but I don't remember off the top of my head how many innings he did pitch, because he's been injured year after year after year, and we continue to give him a contract. Don't know why.
It's because he's got the skill. It's just the injuries.
Skill, yeah, but you had Carlos Rodon finally looking like the guy that you gave them $100-something million to. You had Judge finally coming right out of the gate red hot instead of having to wait a month. It looked like the team was just as good, if not maybe a little better than it was last season, because it was more well-rounded.
Yeah. I'm
not going to say the team last year wasn't good, but because I love Rizzo, and I'm not even going to talk about left field. I don't like what happened in left field last year at all. But for them to come up short against the Blue Jays, there were certain things that shouldn't have been done that were done. I at a loss for words in a way.
Yeah, I could see it, and I think I kind of understand where you come from a little bit. Especially, I know I'm technically an outsider when it comes to the Yankee stuff. I mean, you know at least. I don't know. A couple of the people that I know tune in kind of understand it a little bit as well too. I've been to more Yankee games than I've been Met games in my entire life. Yeah. I am a Mets fan. That's always been my thing. But I don't have a hatred towards the Yankees. I still follow them enough. So I kind of get the gist of where you're going. I think that there's a lot of changes that will end up being made. Now, I don't know if they're going to be exactly like what I said. Like when I said the Mets stuff, we ended up shooting that last week.
Well,
and I said all that stuff and about the coaches that they'd probably end up firing, and almost every single one of them that I said ended up getting fired to a T. So I don't know if I'm going to be that accurate with the Yankees. I probably have a decent idea. I don't know what coaches.
I'm going to add, I agree with you. There has to be major changes that have to be made. But what I am going to add, right, is you have, I get Sunday's game, you're down 9-5, right? Or 9-1. You're down 5-1. You take Fried out. Will Warren gives up. You're down 9-1. You're dead to rights. You're like, damn, we can't win. You throw Will Warren out there, right? And then he proceeds to pitch well. Gives up a few more home runs, but you're getting closer. You're scoring. They scored 7 runs on Sunday in the Game 2 loss, but at the same time, you saw the offense starting to go back out there, and once they got Savage out of the game, they lit up the bullpen that Toronto threw at them.
Mm-hmm.
You can say it wasn't their best guys, but at the same time, in a way, it was.
Listen, anybody that pitches in the playoffs, they're on the playoff roster for a reason. They got to be good players if they're there. Otherwise, the team wouldn't be in the playoffs, and they wouldn't be on the roster if they weren't.
You have Boone continually bringing Will Warren back out there after the offense scores runs. And he proceeds, I believe he gave up 1 or 2 more runs after the Yankees put another run on the board.
Which kind of killed the momentum a little bit for them, I think, at least.
Yeah.
So, at least going I'm
not saying I expected them to win that game,
but
when they started scoring runs and just seeing, I get you submit to the loss, but in a way, if you put up 7 runs in 2 innings, and you're within like 5 or 6 runs, if you're like, if we can stay this hot with the bats, we have to stop them from scoring on offense, and you're not putting a different pitcher out there, it shows that you don't really – like, there could have been a better effort.
Yeah, no, I feel like they kind of punted that game a little bit too once they knew they were down by a certain margin. And it's kind of just like in the playoffs, anything can happen. I know it's hard in the MLB to have big comebacks like that anyway, but anything can happen.
Also, within that series, you only had one starter make it past the 4th inning.
Yeah, which
that was Cam Schlittler, the rookie. I'm not going to say this. I'm going to say 2 things about this postseason. Judge finally beat the playoff choker allegations.
Yes, he did. I agree with that.
And the Yankees do not need to get rid of Cam Schlittler in the offseason unless they are getting somebody like Paul Skeen's caliber.
Or Skubal or somebody like that, yeah.
Or Skubal. Well, no, not even Skubal, because Skubal's a free agent next year.
I know what I'm saying of that
level.
Of
that talent level, Cam Schlittler should be in pinstripes next year. He should definitely be in the starting rotation.
I agree. I think that he should definitely be starting in the starting rotation next
year. I believe he's 23 or 24.
He's 24, I think.
He's 24, and he's the same size as Judge, and he just straight pumps gas.
Yeah. He was extremely effective for them, not just the Blue Jays.
You saw the Blue Jays. Well, I'm going to speak about the Boston. But you saw against the Blue Jays, right? They were hitting every starting pitcher. They couldn't really hit Cam Schlittler.
Yeah.
Vladdy didn't hit a home run.
He did have a big hit, but
he had a big hit.
He had an absolute run.
I'm giving flowers to Vladdy. Obviously I'll go around saying I don't like him, this and that, but if he didn't sign that extension with Toronto, I would be the first person to say Yankees give him $300 million to put him at first base.
Trust me, I would be saying the same thing about the Mets, if especially with this whole Alonso situation now.
Yeah.
If he was a free agent, I would say, you know what, let Alonso walk. Go get Vladimir Guerrero
As much
Jr.
as I think he's a cocky and he's full of himself, right? The dude can play.
Oh, he could flat out play. And his defense has gotten a lot better over the years as well, too. Although, obviously, they did move him from third to first. He has gotten much better in the field, but his bat is next level.
Another thing that I do think helped Toronto out is the fact that they had 5 days off and they didn't have to play in the wild card.
Yeah, sometimes that could help. Sometimes that can hurt you a little bit, especially if you're hot.
I'm gonna say this. There are definitely a handful of games that the Yankees should have won, where they were leading in the bottom of the 8th or at the top of the 9th, and they just didn't win, which, in a way,
sounds familiar.
Led them to losing the tie with Toronto.
Sounds familiar with the Mets. The Mets did that.
There was one game against Toronto. All they had to do was the first game after the trade deadline. It was not. You just had to not mess up. The bullpen, Jake Bird looked awful.
Oh yeah, that was.
They lost 13-12 to Miami.
I was about to say that was probably one of the.
That was the worst game I've seen all year, because you had player after player step up and do what they had to do to get them back in the game. And then you're like, oh, yeah, I'm bringing this guy in.
Yeah, for the bullpen to just say, here you go.
But
take it. But
now let's.
Well, yeah, we'll kind of. I know that you have a lot to say about the Yankees. I do want to try and at least get through some stuff too, because I think me and you will agree on a lot of things here. The scoring with runners or not scoring with runners in scoring position was a big issue for them in some of the games during this series.
Not some of the games.
Most
of them, except for game number 3.
Game number 3.
You have in game 4. You have. I'm gonna give my flowers to Ryan McMahon.
Yeah, that was.
He had a huge at bat. He tied the game at 1. Stadium went nuts. I was there. Everybody was screaming. Everyone in my side, everyone was jumping up and down. But the one thing about the Yankees is that if they're playing at home and they're down and the crowd's like dead silent, they won't play well.
Yeah.
If that when
That goes for a lot of teams.
No,
though,
I
too,
know,
especially
but when
New York.
but Romy Gonzalez came out and said that he couldn't hear the other outfielders because Yankee Stadium was too loud in the playoffs. Playoff baseball at Yankee Stadium might be one of the loudest atmospheres in all of sports.
It's up there. It's definitely
and when the crowd is silent, it is silent. But when something happens and it is loud, it is loud.
It's rocking. Yeah. No, and I was watching that game. Obviously, you saw it live.
Ryan McMahon, obviously, he put his body on the line against Boston in that Game 3, made an insane catch by the dugout, or when he fell over into the dugout.
Yeah.
And then Game 4, he made an insane grab in foul territory.
Yep. Nah, he was extremely good in the field and obviously had that big at-bat for them as well, too. But it felt like other than him, Judge had his moments as well, too. There weren't many guys that were hitting with runners in scoring position throughout not just the series with the Blue Jays, also with Boston a little bit as well, too. And I know that was a theme for them a little bit earlier in the year as well.
I'm going to say one thing. You have a guy, right, who comes out of nowhere, out of nowhere in a contract year, puts up 34 home runs.
Who, Trent?
And he does nothing in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think, did I put him, what he was batting?
I think he had like 2 hits or something.
I think he was batting, he batted 138 during the playoffs in 29 plate appearances.
I think he had 1 or 2 hits, maybe even 3. But you saw it Game 4. You saw it Game 2. They weren't swinging the bat.
No. And even against Boston, he was
You're in the playoffs. You have to swing the bat. They were just standing there waiting. They were trying to walk every single at-bat. I get it. During the season, you were an over-aggressive team. But when you're down in a series, you can't be taking a hanging curveball in the strike zone. That's right, dead middle of the strike zone, right. All Grisham had to do was, I get your sitting fastball. Mm-hmm. I get it. But when you see the hanging curveball down the middle, down the pipe, you have to swing the bat.
Yeah, that was pretty poor of him.
Another thing, right? You're down by 4 runs, and you have the bases loaded in the 8th with 2 outs. You can't have I believe he was the 8-hole hitter. No, he might have been 7. Yeah, it was a 7-hole hitter. You can't have your 7-hole hitter go out there and swing at the first pitch he sees and pop it up to the outfield.
Yeah, that's something that I learned when I was playing like Little League baseball is if it's a close game like that, make the pitcher throw a strike first. Make him come to you first.
I don't care if the pitch was a strike either way. Austin Wells he should have took the first pitch. You never swing at the first pitch of an at bat in a big game. You had the entire stadium on its feet, screaming, and you had the bases loaded. And Austin Wells, he's not nobody. If he makes contact with the ball, he could have easily drove in 2 or 3 runs.
Well, he also did have that big game. I believe it was against the Red Sox
yeah,
too. He had the
double.
The RBI double down the line, which saw Jazz Chisholm score from first base. Obviously, Jazz's speed helped, but Wells put him in that situation.
Or if Wells found his pitch and he could have hit the ball out of the stadium, it could have hit a home run.
Yeah, no, I know you're 100% right.
But you have Wells swinging at the first pitch, and you popped it up, and then you don't put up a second run until the bottom of the 9th when you're already down by so much.
Yeah, I know. Trust me, it didn't help. Like I said, it's not just him. It was way more than just him. There were a lot of other guys that really did not step up during this postseason. But I think the big thing that we'll kind of get to now is, like we said before, well,
last thing, right?
Okay.
You're in a 2-1 ball game, and I'm not saying that he probably could have prevented this, but first of all, Cam Schiller played well. If there was one thing I could fix from what he did was when Jazz made the error at second, he went to go for the ball, and then saw that there could be a double play turn and then stopped.
I remember seeing that play. Yeah, he put his hand out and pulled back, and it was a base hit up the middle opposed to him literally just
getting the out at first.
Yeah. I even the broadcasters said something about it, too. They were like, I think one of them was a pitcher. I forget which one it was. And he even said, I've had moments like that in my career where, I have a ball that's hit right up the middle to me, and I kind of look at where my fielders are first to get an idea whether I should be a little bit more aggressive to get the ball or be more conservative and let them do their thing. And he just, I guess, pulled back figuring, Jazz is there. And he wasn't there at all. So I did remember
not
seeing
that he wasn't
in the
there.
show.
He just didn't he was there. He just didn't field it properly.
Yeah, but that probably would have helped them out big time as well.
Yeah,
too.
that led to them scoring like 3 or 4 runs or something.
Yep. And then they ended up putting in Devin Williams, I believe, after that. But we kind of just said
exactly, and Williams gave up the big hit that allowed
which ended up letting them bust open the game, but. Now that they are out of the playoffs, there's a lot of things that, like Mets fans, when we got eliminated before the playoffs even started, a lot of us were wondering, where do we go from here? Yankee fans are probably sitting in a very similar boat right now saying, what's next? What do we do from here to put ourselves back into World Series contention like you were the year prior? Now, I have a couple opinions. I'm not going to say that these are guarantees of what's going to happen, just like with the Mets. That was more just me kind of predicting. I didn't think they were going to happen, but I think me and you can kind of agree on the number one thing that I had on here, and that's as much as I saw a lot of other fans disagree and other analysts disagree, I think it's time for the Yankees to fire Aaron Boone.
I also do agree. I get it. I mean, I heard what A-Rod said, that it's not completely his fault.
No, it's not.
Because he was handed a roster by Cashman that wasn't constructed the proper way to win. But, I get it. There's 4 DHs in the lineup, 3 left-handed hitting catchers. But you construct the lineup based off of analytics, and that's ruining the game. There was a time toward the end of the season when they maybe weren't going to make the playoffs. You saw him take Volpe, sit him down, put Caballero in there. They started winning games. In the playoffs, you're playing Volpe every day.
Yeah, no. It's further than just that, though.
There's a lot of things. I get Jeter said it's not 100% his call, but there's a lot of other stuff that goes on behind closed doors that we don't see. That there's a lot of people higher up in command that are kind of telling them what to do. I get it, but at the same time, the Yankees haven't really had a good team properly built and managed properly since 2017 when they had Girardi.
Yeah, and that's kind of going off that point as well, too.
I don't understand. You come out last year, you lose the World Series at home, right? Great, whatever. Okay, maybe Boone saved his job last offseason because he made the World Series. This year you get bounced in the ALDS at home again. And then Boone has the nerve to say during his press conference when he's asked if he thinks he'll be back next season, he goes, I'm under contract. I don't see why not.
Well, I think
don't
he's just very
understand.
snarky.
Another thing I think should happen is, which might be coming out of left field, I'm not saying sell the team, but I think George Steinbrenner had a daughter or something, has another kid. Hal should not be running the team.
I won't touch on that because
I don't understand.
Not well informed on
you
that,
look at your father's blueprint. George Steinbrenner's blueprint was, we're the Yankees. We're the best team in baseball. We have the most money in baseball. Not anymore. I mean, I'm not saying that they don't. They probably still do. They just don't spend it.
No.
We have the most money in baseball, and you're not going to stop us from doing what we want to do.
Yeah, that's how it used to be.
That's exactly how it used to be.
And I feel like a lot of other teams did catch up, but
they did catch up, yes. But in a way, Bryce Harper should have been a Yankee. He would have been a Yankee if Steinbrenner Sr. was still alive, George Steinbrenner was alive. Bryce Harper would have been a Yankee.
Soto
would have been a Yankee still.
Probably, yep.
You have Manny Machado probably would have been a Yankee in free agency.
Or Nolan Arenado.
Nolan
would have been by trade at some point. No, I get your point. There's a lot of them that would.
There's a lot. Ohtani probably could have
that one was a little. That's tough.
But it's tough. But what I'm saying is, you would have had all these big name players. Like Bryce Harper said, he never got an offer from the Yankees. He said Cashman never called him. He said that if Cashman called him, he would have reevaluated the Phillies' offer because Bryce Harper said, part of me did want to go play for the Yankees.
Well, of course. I mean, who doesn't want to play for the Mecca of baseball?
Exactly.
It's understandable.
How George Steinbrenner is rolling around in his grave. Hal's blueprint is, Cashman, get me a team that can make the playoffs and make me the most money. I don't care about the fans. That's what it seems like. You have Steve Cohen. We even said last week, I said Steve Cohen apologized on X, Twitter, whatever. Hal Steinbrenner didn't do that.
He's not going to either.
The Yankees need to go back out there, and they need to win a World Series to prove that they're not the team that everyone says they are. They're the playoff chokers. 27 rings, it doesn't matter. It happened back then. They can't do it now. Cole is going to be 35 next season. Judge is going to be 34. Stan's going to be 36. Their window is closing, and it's closing fast.
Yeah, because they're definitely not getting any younger, so that's a big thing. But going back to the whole Aaron Boone, the only reason why I kind of said that he really should be fired is, there's multiple reasons, but I'll kind of just run through them fairly quick. I don't want to drag this on and on and on because I think we kind of get the point. He first kind of started the thing with Aaron Judge's injury. I think he handled that very poorly, saying, it doesn't look good. He may be out for some time, not quote unquote, but he seemed very pessimistic about it. And then Aaron Judge ended up being okay, only out for a little bit of time. And a lot of people were kind of just like, why would he say something or touch on it if he didn't know what was going on? It's kind of like what the Rangers, we'll get to hockey at some point too, but it's kind of like what the Rangers do where if they're not sure what's going on, they'll just basically say, he's day to day. We don't have enough information. We don't know what's going on. We'll find out in a couple of days. He was like, it's not looking good, blah, blah, blah.
That could have been handled better than it did. Judge came out and said that he told Boone that if he could play DH every day without going on the IR, he would rather do that.
But that's my point, is like even the player himself is saying, it's not that bad. I can do this if you need me to.
No, but I understand, right? Your star player gets hurt. I commend Boone for putting him on the IR, or IL, the 10-day IL. It's the shortest possible time that you could be on the IL. Judge obviously hurt something.
He definitely did.
If Judge is gonna say he can play because he just wants to
wants to be out there,
he wants to be out there.
But he made it seem like he was tore his UCL and he's done.
Boone didn't. If Judge continued, I get it. Judge was hot. He wanted to stay hot. Put him at DH, whatever. At the same time, when you're asked in a press conference, because Judge was taken off of the IL, and he started his rehab, and he started his throwing program, and you hear him be asked, how is Judge's throwing program going? When can we expect to see him back in the outfield? He goes, I don't think we're going to see him back out there this season. His shoulder doesn't look as good as we hoped it would look.
That's my point.
And then Judge says, and Boone said, I saw him throwing a few days ago, and it didn't look that great. And Judge goes, when Judge was asked about this, he goes, I don't know why Boone said that. I'm doing better than I'm expected to be doing at the moment. If you don't know something about your star player 100%, you go out there and you be honest with the reporters. You be like, I don't know. I haven't seen him throw yet. I haven't had the chance to see him throw. I haven't had the time. I've been busy doing other stuff with the team, figuring out different lineups to get us to maybe win more so we can try and get back to the number one team in the AL East. You say, I don't know. I haven't seen him throw.
But that's my point, is like that's what the Rangers do a lot of the time, even if they kind of do have an idea, but they're not fully sure. They'll say, hey, you know what? I'm not sure. He's day-to-day right now. We'll kind of take it step by step and see what we can do. So that's number one. Number two, you look at all the bad pitching decisions. We don't even really need to touch on this. We saw his mismanagement of the bullpen, either pulling starters too quick or not early enough, going to certain guys like the whole Devin Williams situation we talked about a couple weeks ago, where you're bringing him in after he got shelled in one game and you put him in the same sort of situation and expect a different result. That was another big issue that he had. Same sort of thing that Mendoza did with the lineup decision making, where he's putting guys in spots of the lineup that they really shouldn't be in. We saw that obviously in the the AL wild card.
That game one lineup was awful. Terrible.
But that's what I'm saying.
Absolutely terrible. That game one lineup was the worst lineup I've ever seen Boone put out there. You don't put Goldschmidt leading off in a playoff game. Grisham should be leading off every single day. Every single day of the season.
Well, it's not even that, though. It's you sit Jazz, you sit Ben Rice, when those two had been some of your better players over the last stretch of the last few weeks of the regular season, and your first game in the playoffs. And you're going to, maybe not even as much Jazz, but Ben Rice, we talked about this, was on a tear.
Exactly.
So you proceed to sit him in the first game.
Just because Crochet's a lefty?
I don't care.
Just because Crochet's a lefty? You put him in game two. First, we talked about this last week, the first pitch he sees in the playoffs is a home run.
Yeah. But my thing is, I understand the whole lefty-righty, the batting.
I get it.
That don't make a difference. What matters is your guy that's in the box going to hit the ball? Is he going to put it in play? I don't care if it's a lefty or a righty.
Exactly.
And so for him not to see that's a problem.
So with Jazz, right, I do understand why he didn't play game one, because Saturday's game before the wild card game, right, Jazz was hit by a pitch, I believe in the forearm or somewhere, and he was taken out of the game. He wasn't starting in Sunday's lineup. He was brought in as a defensive sub later on in the game. So maybe sitting Jazz was not just because Boone didn't want him to play, because he's not really that great lefty-lefty. Maybe he didn't want him to go out there, do something. Because let's say the Yankees did make a run, right? They're obviously gonna need him to make it far.
Yeah.
But
another thing, right? I don't get it though.
You have Jason Dominguez, who got only one at bat in this postseason, and then last year, you let him get one at bat in that postseason, and both of the at bats were pinch hit at bats. And they were both base hits.
Yeah, I don't understand. Why they didn't use him.
You don't use Jason Dominguez. I get his fielding wasn't great last year. I understand. 100% I understand. But that's why you put Juan Soto in left, Judge in right. Tell Dominguez, you're a center fielder. Go play center field.
Yeah, trust me, I don't understand.
It was probably better off than having Verdugo out there.
Yeah, no, it was much better than that.
And then again, right? If I'm Aaron Boone and I'm the manager of the Yankees, I don't know if it's the left side or the right side. I forgot. It's one of them. Jason Dominguez is better at hitting. I believe it's on the right side. You tell Jason Dominguez, I get it. You're a switch hitter. You can hit from both sides of the plate, but your numbers are better on this side. And if you continue just to hit from this side and not be a switch hitter, you'll get more playing time. You'll help you have a great bat, but you struggle on the left, opposed to where you just stay a right-handed hitter.
No, trust me, I agree. I don't understand why they didn't use him very much at all.
Hold on.
You can look it up. I'll kind of keep going a little bit here. Same thing. I didn't like his media presence, Boone, either. I thought that was very poor in some ways. The base running obviously is not all him. That's also his staff as well, but I didn't even realize this up until I kind of did a little bit more research. The Yankees had some of the worst base running metrics in the MLB. Now, granted, they do have a lot of guys on this roster, especially one of the slowest guys I've ever seen, which is Giancarlo Stanton running the bases. But there were a lot of things that I think Boone either undermanaged or overmanaged, which is very similar to what we saw from Carlos Mendoza for the New York Mets. That's why I can kind of relate on this and why I felt so heavily about them getting rid of Mendoza, at least for the Mets' sake. So that's why I kind of feel the same way about Boone with the Yankees as well. But it's also the fact that Mendoza's going into, I believe, year 3 now. Aaron Boone is going into season number 9. He's been there for 8 years.
In the 2025 season, Jason Dominguez struggled against the left-handed pitching, hitting just 204 with 1 home run and 8 RBIs in 104 plate appearances. Now, against right-handed hitting, he had a 274 average with 9 home runs and 39 RBIs.
Yeah, so he's much better hitting off righties than he is off lefties.
So I was right. He's better hitting at the at the right.
So yeah, but
if you're Boone, you tell him stop hitting on the left side. I don't care.
Well, that's more of the batting coach that needs to kind of do that.
Yeah, but it's more of the batting coach that I get. It's the batting coach, but Boone has to tell the batting coach, "Hey, I like his numbers on the right, not on the left. Get him to switch it."
Yeah, I can
also,
see what you're saying. Yeah,
if you're Boone, Jason Dominguez is 23 or 22 years old. He is still very, very young. If you're not going to use him, trade him.
Well, I mean, it was a little bit late because they were using him at some points, but you are right. Yes, I know. He's been there for a decent amount of time, and they really have not utilized
I get he's been injured several years in a row because this was technically his rookie year.
Was it really?
Yeah, he hadn't played enough games yet. This was still considered his rookie year because when they brought him up 2 Septembers ago, tore his UCL. Came back mid-season. Was it last year? Or
yeah, from Tommy John. That's right. He did tear his UCL.
And then he played mid-season. And then I
thought he got hurt again too, but it wasn't.
He did get he played mid-season, right? And then junior year. No, wait. And then he got hurt again. And then that led him coming back. I think mid-season last season. So he hasn't played enough games in his season until this year to be considered a rookie.
Wow. See, I didn't even really realize that either. But like now we'll kind of go a little bit further into it. We'll kind of get off Aaron Boone at least. It's kind of where we see
not only Boone. I think Boone should get fired. I think Cashman should get fired.
Well, I know you kind of said that before too.
I think
doubt that happens.
I think that maybe Cashman has a little. I'm not saying he's blackmailing Hal into not firing him, but maybe he has something on him that he doesn't want getting out.
I
don't know.
I don't know. Again, I don't know that either.
No, not even on Hal, about George. Maybe he does have something on George.
I know, but still.
If you're Brian Cashman, right, and you helped piece some of the teams that won in the 90s, and you're working with George Steinbrenner's son, I get you're the assistant GM or the GM, right? Hal's the owner. You call Hal and you're like, hey, this isn't working. I worked with your dad. I know you're not your dad, but maybe if we get some of the bigger players from free agency, it'll just pan out.
It could. It's not a guarantee ever.
I am Brian Cashman. I am handing blank checks to whoever the big team's top needs this offseason. I am handing blank checks to them and saying, how much do you want? You are going, not I want you to be a Yankee, you are going to be a Yankee.
Yeah, and this is where I'll kind of come in a little bit too, like you said with the blank checks. So obviously we know that we kind of want to get off Boone, but it also comes down to guys like Trent Grisham, which I would not be surprised if after the postseason, the way he played, if they let him walk, which I think they should. Anthony Volpe, we've talked about him.
They need to get him the hell off of the team.
And to be honest, I think he'll do better in a smaller market team. He was actually not bad during this postseason. He was a little bit better than even I expected, but the regular season numbers and his career numbers are not pretty.
He's a young player. He has a lot of potential, but I think the pressure for not only him, but whoever comes in to play shortstop for the Yankees,
It's
at some point, the comparison is always going to be them
Jeter.
versus Jeter.
it,
Somebody who played it very well that doesn't get enough credit after Jeter was the shortstop is Didi Gregorius.
Yeah.
Didi Gregorius played very well for, I think we had him for like 4 or 5 seasons.
I don't even know if it was 4 or 5. Maybe less. Nah, it was probably about 4 or 5.
Because Jeter retired in 2014, and then I think we got Didi 20. We had 20 because I know we had Stephen Drew there. Don't ask me how I remember that. I remember Stephen Drew was the Yankee shortstop at one point, and then it was Stephen Drew, and then it was Didi because I wanted them to go out and sign. Who was it? Was it Trevor Story? Yeah, I wanted them to get Trevor Story, Corey Seager, or Marcus Semien, but we got Troy Tulowitzki, and we had already had Didi at that point. But Didi played shortstop perfectly. When you needed a clutch at bat,
He had it.
That game against Cleveland in the playoffs, he had the grand slam.
Yeah.
He played the position very well.
No, he did.
No one's ever gonna be like Jeter.
Yeah, so I think obviously
unless they are really good at a really young age, no one's gonna be like Jeter.
Especially now
it's gonna be
Volpe.
very hard to fill his shoes, and I just think that Yankee fans as a community just have to accept that.
Yeah, no.
Because the more you compare whoever's next up to Jeter, the more pressure you're putting on them.
Absolutely. And I think that's kind of why Volpe didn't really perform to the way he was supposed to either.
That's what
and
I'm
it's
trying to
understandable.
say.
Yes, and it's understandable. The other guy that I think is going to be gone too, which it's not just skill because it wasn't really his skill problem, is the age problem, and that's Paul Goldschmidt because I believe he's going into his age 39 season next year. So,
Yeah, I liked the signing when we got him. He was a great veteran presence in the clubhouse. Just a great guy in general, because we did need a first baseman because Rizzo retired. Well, he didn't retire at the time, but now he is. Goldie played very great. I mean, I can't hate on Paul Goldschmidt. You can never hate on Paul Goldschmidt because his career numbers.
he's a Hall of Famer when he's all said and done.
Exactly.
So so it's hard to go against him either. But I think that there's you got to replace him at one point. No one really knows how that's going to happen, whether that be they, indulge in somebody in free agency, whether maybe they move Bellinger to first, whether Ben Rice becomes your first baseman, for the full season. There's a lot of different options. There's the possibility of Alonso or maybe Josh Naylor in free agency.
No.
I know you don't want Josh Naylor, but still, it's an option.
I get.
Even Ryan O'Hearn is an option.
I get Josh Naylor is good.
You just don't like the...
I know. I just don't like. It's not even this, right?
The baby, rocking the baby.
It's not even that. It's just it's like his mentality,
Yeah.
I get because that wouldn't fly on the Yankees. You know what I'm saying? Like him being self-confident and all that, he wouldn't be able to do that.
No, not as much as he's been.
Not as much as he's been able to do that now. And I think that a big part of the way he plays, how he does, is because he's able to do this and the rock the baby and this and that. Like he's able to be cocky
and very animated about it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I could see that, but he was just
if he was doing that in a positive way, he could do it in New York. But I don't think the Yankees will let him do that.
Yeah.
Another thing. I was gonna say one more thing. I forgot. It had to do with. The Yankees, and you said Ben Rice, bro. The Yankees have made several trades last year where they have dealt catchers. They've sent catchers to several other teams. One of them was Agustin Ramirez. They sent him to Miami for Jazz Chisholm. And they sent somebody else they sent another catcher. They sent Carlos Narvaez to the Red Sox. And I think that's how they got
Well, the Yankees also had Luis Torrens, too, and the Mets ended up getting him. They've moved off of a lot of catchers.
But I will say the Narvaez trade, the Yankees did wind up getting back a really good pitching prospect in return. Elmer Rodriguez Cruz Rodriguez. I do believe he did win minor league baseball's pitcher of the year.
That's impressive.
So they didn't get a bad prospect in return. But what I'm saying is you have all these great catchers that are developing well, and the one that you keep isn't consistent.
Yeah, with Austin Wells. Yeah, but then they also do have Ben Rice, so that's why I kind of brought him up.
But what I don't understand is you have Ben Rice, who's a lefty-handed hitting power bat, right? Austin Wells is the same thing.
I know it's one thing I don't know.
The ALDS roster, you had Escara, Wells, Rice. 3 left-handed hitting catchers. You can't have that on a roster.
I know, and I don't know if it's necessarily all their fault just because of who they drafted, maybe who they moved off of. I don't know how they plan on addressing that going forward, but obviously I do agree with you. I think that's a little bit too much, especially for them. You don't need 3. It's one thing to have 3 lefties. But the fact that you have 3 lefties that all play the same position is kind of crazy, especially the catcher position.
And they play the same way. They swing at every single pitch.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Obviously, you could tell that they definitely have a style that they like of a certain player. So I don't know. I think that there's a lot of other things that they're going to end up doing regarding the bullpen. I would hope that they end up re-signing Bellinger, extending Jazz. I know we kind of talked about that a little bit too. There's a lot of things that they're going to have to do in the near future to really put them back into that World Series contender spot. And I just hope they go about it the right way. Those are just some of the things that I think me and you kind of agreed on a little bit. So I don't know if it's going to happen. It could. It may not. The Boone one's the biggest one, but I doubt that happens.
I don't like this guy either. I'm saying this right now, but I don't know if Toronto winds up winning a World Series. I don't think he's going anywhere. But if they don't, yeah, because they haven't given him a contract yet.
Yeah, I know he's one of the bigger free agent, at least shortstops coming out next year.
Not my favorite player, but if I see the notification saying that the Yankees have signed shortstop Bo Bichette, I will purchase a jersey immediately.
Yeah, I know, and I think he'd be a good player, too, for them. He was very, very good in his career.
I think the Yankees would benefit from having Bo Bichette.
I think that they would, too.
Put him at shortstop. Third baseman, we don't really need a third baseman because we have McMahon still.
The bullpen with Devin Williams, I mean, you could probably let him walk. Luke Weaver's got to go. There's a couple other guys in that bullpen that I really don't trust, like Mark Leiter Jr., good Lord. Someone get him the hell out of there. There's a lot of work that needs to be done with the bullpen, too, still.
Now, you have a player in Chicago, right? Who's also a pending free agent.
Maybe. Depending on how they do.
Depending on if Chicago makes a run.
Which they're evened up now. They're 2-2 going back to Milwaukee, I believe, on Saturday. I think they play Saturday because they have today off. And then I think they play Saturday. I know exactly who you're talking about.
I'm not saying he's definitely leaving Chicago, but he's definitely going to test free agency, like, no matter what.
Oh, I think he would because he's going to get some big money, and that's.
I think King Tuck should also be a Yankee.
Well, I was just about to say. King Tuck is going to be another big one, Mr. Kyle Tucker himself.
He's 30 years old. He's a lefty hitting power bat.
That's the only thing that kills them. Is that he's a lefty. They need more righties. They have an abundance of left-handed hitters.
No, I think this would be. I think this would be an ideal offseason, right? Bo Bichette's a righty. Go get Bo Bichette. McMahon's a lefty. Jazz is a lefty. Tell Dominguez stop hitting from the left side.
You mean the right side?
No, left side. Dominguez thrives on the right side.
No, he hits better off of righty pitchers, which means that he is a lefty hitter. That's what the point you just brought up before. He hits better off of righty pitchers, which means that he's a lefty.
Dominguez would be a lefty.
Yeah.
So you have McMahon, Jazz, Dominguez.
Isn't Spencer Jones a lefty?
Yeah, Spencer Jones is also a lefty.
They love lefties. Oh, my God. I wish I would have been that good when I was younger because I'm a lefty.
Spencer Jones is a lefty.
Holy.
Then you bring back Bellinger. Bellinger's also a lefty.
Austin Wells is a lefty. Ben Rice is a lefty.
Well, here's what I'm going to say. You go out, you don't have a center fielder anymore because Trent Grisham, bye-bye.
Who's also a
lefty.
Lefty.
Bye-bye, Trent Grisham. You're never going to have another season like this because you played a full season in Yankee Stadium. The field is very short.
Trent Bonds.
That was an insane. Look at what Matt Carpenter did for the Yankees that one year.
And he was
a lefty.
Bingo. You got it. They
benefit from the short porch. That's why.
Well, they love their left. I guarantee. That's why I feel like Kyle Tucker would actually be a very good pickup for them.
I know.
Because
that's exactly why I'm saying this. So you have Kyle Tucker. You Yankees go get Kyle Tucker. You put him in a right. You re-sign Bellinger. The first base market isn't Josh Naylor's a righty, right? Or I think Josh Naylor might also be a lefty.
He is a lefty.
See, exactly. You go.
Which is why the Yankees will love him. He is a left-handed hitter. They love the lefty hitters. Other than Judge and Stan.
You know what I'm going to say right now? You either put Bellinger at first or you do another move.
You sign Pete Alonso.
You go get Pete Alonso.
I knew you were going to say that because I brought that up too.
You did bring it up. I get why you brought it up. But if the Yankees need a right-handed bat, I think Pete Alonso would be a great fit for the team.
Oh, no doubt. He definitely would.
You put Alonso at first. You put Bellinger back in center where, hint, hint, he won his MVP when he played there, center field in L.A. You put Judge in right. And then second base, you keep Jazz. Shortstop's Bo Bichette. Third base is Ryan McMahon. Or either A, you get Ryan McMahon. Well, I don't know how old he is. But
not that old.
You have Bregman on the market, too.
That could be an option, too. But I don't know if they... I mean, they could do all of that.
You could. Like, the Yankees need to make a lot of moves this offseason. And they just need to spend the money.
Well,
one thing I will say is I want them to re-sign Devin Williams.
I think it would be smart too. I think he just had a bad year. He was much better towards the end.
He was much better towards the end, but towards the end, Boone finally realized you can't use him as a closer.
Yeah, you just use him as a setup guy in the 7th, 8th inning.
No, not even the 7th inning. He's an 8th inning guy only. You bring him in the 7th, you're forcing too many outs for him to pitch. I get it. He's supposed to be the best closer in baseball.
Oh, no, I didn't mean for him to pitch both innings. I'm just saying if you need someone immediately in the 7th, you go with him in the 7th, someone else in the 8th.
You have in the 7th, you have Camilo Doval for the 7th. You could go Camilo Doval, you could go Williams, and then you have Bednar. That would be probably one of the, if they're all on their game, that would probably be one of the scariest back 3-inning pitchers to face.
Yeah, no, and that's if they're on their game, which hopefully they are. But I wouldn't be surprised if they end up re-signing Devin Williams for the right price because I think his value definitely went down a little bit. And I don't know how many teams are really going to be interested. I guarantee you the Mets are going to end up trying to make a call for him, especially depending on what happens with Edwin Diaz because I know he's going to end up opting.
I know. And then I know Cody Bellinger, I want them to re-sign him. I think they will only because they love the way he plays. Not only that, his dad was a Yankee. He genuinely likes the team.
Yeah.
I know he said he had a great time, like when he was asked about the putting on the pinstripes. We was all talking about it past tense, but anybody who goes into free agency says that, right? He didn't say he was definitely opting out like Alonso did. He said, because they asked, like they said, obviously there's going to be a lot that goes into it, your thought process. He goes, yeah, I haven't started thinking about that yet, but it was an honor to put this uniform on, like this and that. Also,
I think he'll be back.
Also, if I'm Bellinger, right, and I tell my agent I want to be traded to the Yankees, and you go to the playoffs and you come up short one year,
I doubt you leave.
If you want to go to the Yankees and say that's the only team I'd want to be traded to, you're not going to leave the team.
I don't think so either. Like I said, I think he's going to end up going back. I think they'll sign him for the right amount of money, or extend him, should I say, because obviously I think he has to opt out first if he wants to. If he does,
maybe not even like opting out. Maybe they might do something like what happened with Cole, right? Cole opted out, and they gave him an extra year on his contract.
That's what I'm saying.
So maybe he'll opt out, and then they'll give him like a
newer contract.
He's 32, right? 31.
Somewhere in that range.
Maybe
I know
they
he's
give
still
him.
fairly
Maybe they
young,
give
too.
him like a 6 or 7 year, $200 million contract, and he'll be like, well, you know what? I'll take it.
Yeah, of course. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's kind of the way they go. But there's a lot of stuff that the Yankees need to do to really get themselves back into the title picture once again. And it kind of brings me to something in a little bit different of a sport, because as one season ends, another one does start. And it's
what I will say before we talk about hockey.
Yeah, well, because I'll be quick on it, because we got football and other stuff to talk about as well. But
I was going to bring that up now. I was going to say, it sucks to be a Philly fan.
Well,
a
yeah.
fan of any Philly sport. You have the way that the Phillies game ended last night. That was bad.
Good.
The pitcher had a lot more time than he thought to make the throw. The runner wasn't even halfway up the first baseline. There was 2 outs, right? It was 2 outs, bases loaded.
Yeah, and he forced the ball home and overthrew, and it wasn't even close.
He could have threw the ball to first. The runner wasn't halfway up the line when he picked the ball up.
I know, but hold on. Please, we'll save this, because we will bring this up at some point when we start talking about football, because I'm going to have a nice little thing to say about
Phillies,
that.
I hockey team, the Flyers lost too, right?
The Flyers lost last night. The Phillies also got eliminated. And then we'll talk about yours, because I know we're going to end up talking about that. But let's kind of get this rolling a little bit. So
right.
At least with the Rangers, they started out 1-1. They started on, I believe it was Tuesday night, was their first game of the year.
It was Tuesday night.
Yep, and they played at home against Pittsburgh, and they came out and really did not play well. They ended up getting shut out 3-0 in the first game of the season, and it did not look pretty at all. The best thing that I could say about that night was they debuted their new Centennial season jerseys, which are disgusting. They're so nice. I want to buy them, but it's a lot of money. But they did not look very good in game one. A lot of similar problems that they had at the end of last year. The power play unit just looks like a regurgitated unit that's the same thing, minus Chris Kreider now because he's in Anaheim. But just very, very sloppy. Defensive unit didn't really look that great. The only players that really stood out to me was Mika Zibanejad looked much better. Finally. Noah Laba, in his debut in the NHL, played very well. Obviously didn't put up any points, but just played well. Third line was a little bit better than I expected. The fourth line was horrible. And then the goaltending, Igor Shesterkin. The guy is still one of the best goalies in hockey. Now, that was just the first game. I was very disappointed when I first started taking these notes that I was going to talk about hockey. It was going to be more of a rant of me just absolutely blasting the team after an absolute pitiful game one. But then they come out, they play against Buffalo last night, and it was only 1-0. Thank God Alexis Lafreniere scored the first goal of the season for the Rangers. He needs to be that guy to kind of step up this year. I think he's going in year 6. He's really not looked that good ever since he stepped in, or he hasn't met his expectations. He looked a lot better. The offense started to click a little bit more. You saw goals from Carson Soucy, from JT Miller, from Adam Fox. They ended up winning 4-0. Shesterkin got his first shutout of the year. Things looked a lot better. The defense actually played much better than I would have expected them to the whole season. There's a lot that still needs to be worked on. I know we're only 2 games into the year, so it's way early for me to really say what I'm going to see from this team. But the thing I've already liked is they've started to settle into a system where they're not allowing as many odd man rushes as they did last year, which is what killed them. The one thing that scares me a little bit is the offense looks very, very streaky. The one night that they played against, game 1? Pittsburgh, couldn't really get any chances at all. Couldn't generate any opportunities to score. Obviously, that's why they got shut out. But then the following night, they started creating some opportunities. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say, they finally turned it on, because Buffalo's missing a couple guys, and they're really not that impressive. But They have a long, long way to go to figure things out. But the reason why I kind of brought it up is because the big issue that I had was they looked at this team this year and said, that there's a lot that needs to be fixed. This team may not be as competitive as it was in that 2023-2024 year where they lost to Florida in the Eastern Conference Final. So there was a lot that they really needed to improve on, and they figured that they'll base it fairly small. They obviously didn't have much money to work with, but they figured to keep it pretty tight, keep a lot of the same guys around, but try and get rid of some older or underperforming players and kind of move off and go with some of the younger crowd, which they're still not really doing. But their big thing is they figured that this upcoming season, the free agent class, was going to be the most important for them. Because you had guys like Connor McDavid, Jack Eichel, Kirill Kaprizov, Kyle Connor, just some of those big four guys right there, and some others that were going to all be free agents. You know how many are free agents today?
None.
0. Every single one of them has signed a long-term extension with the teams that they're currently on. McDavid signed with Edmonton. Jack Eichel signed an extension with Vegas. Kirill Kaprizov signed his extension with Minnesota. Kyle Connor signed his with Winnipeg. So now all of those big free agents are gone, which means that the only free agent is actually one of your own, and that's Artemi Panarin, who will be a free agent at the end of this year. And he's not getting any younger either. I believe he'll be going into his year, I think he's 33 now. So at the end of the year, he'll be 34. And he's going to be looking for another contract. I hope to God that they do the right thing in regards to him, because I'd love to have him. He's a great player. But do you want to spend $11.5 million like they have now on a guy who's going to be 35 and older in his contract? At that point, I'd say no. But if he's willing to take a little bit friendlier of a deal, maybe like 7, because he's still a great player, $7 million, $8 million, that's okay. But 11.5 or more, it's steep. So I was a little bit concerned about not just this year, but also their future, because I don't know what the future holds for them now. It's very concerning, and especially like we've talked about with New York.
Yep.
We expect success. The Rangers, obviously, I've mentioned this, and I guarantee you I'm going to get not flack, but I'm going to get roasted here by the Boston fans. The Rangers haven't won anything since 94. We've talked about how the New York teams haven't won anything. At least the most recent was the Giants, but we've said it multiple times. The Rangers haven't won since 94. I wasn't even alive then. So I want to see them win. I know a lot of other Rangers fans have been waiting for it as well since 94, because we know that the team has been capable enough. They've just fallen short multiple times. And then they've very, very much so underperformed in other seasons. So I just kind of hope that they could turn it around. Much better start against Buffalo the other night. Still a long season to go. They actually extended it, so it's 84 games, I believe, instead of 82 now. So the season's still going to, there's a lot left. But they got to start clicking. They got to keep playing the way that they have been defensively. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they do make some moves at the deadline to try and bolster themselves a little bit more if they are in competition to make the playoffs. But we'll see. I don't want to get too amped up on it. It's still way too early. But kind of going forward from there, we can touch a little bit on college football as well. I know that we saw a lot of crazy upsets this past week. A couple other big teams moving around in the rankings. So we did actually see Alabama move back up into the top 10 of the rankings once again. They were number 10 playing against number 16 Vanderbilt. They ended up winning that game very convincingly, even though it seemed a lot closer. They ended up really showing back up, and now they move up to the number 8 spot, and they're going to end up taking on Missouri. But the question I had is Alabama finally back in their form, or are they just riding a hot hand? What do you think? You think Alabama's back into their original form? Not saying the Saban dynasty form, but is Alabama back to being a legit contender again?
I'm not going to lie. I haven't really watched a lot of college football this year.
That's fair.
So,
but I know you probably hear the rumors circulating a little bit as well, too.
I mean, I haven't really followed it much this year. I'm going to start more, obviously.
You should. It's
now that
awesome.
Now that baseball season's over, I need another sport. I think it could be a little bit of both. Maybe their next opponent. Like, who are they playing this week?
They play Missouri, who is ranked, I believe, as the number I think they moved up to 16 as well. I know that they're up there. They are playing. I know it's Missouri, though. 100%. They're playing in Missouri this week, and Missouri is ranked as the number 14 team in the country right now.
So I believe if they play well against Missouri, there's a definite chance that they could be back to being Bama, not Saban Bama, but like Bama.
Yeah, a power school.
But if they go out and they beat Missouri and they play terrible and they still beat Missouri, then I might say they're riding a hot hand.
Yeah, a little bit, and because that loss to Florida State first week of the season was very, very painful. But I think that they've kind of settled in a little bit nicer as well, too. Obviously, again, people say, oh, well, you're a Bama guy. Well, I'm trying to keep this unbiased as possible because that Florida State game was horrible. At the first couple weeks, I thought that this team was definitely in some trouble. And they definitely still are a little bit, but because they don't have an easy schedule going out the rest of the way. They do have to play Oklahoma, who's a top-ranked team right now. They end up having to play Auburn, which is also going to be another tough game for them as well. They have to play teams like Tennessee and LSU, which all those SEC games are always tough regardless of if they're ranked or not. So if they can continue the way that they're going and they can win their rest of the way out, they will be a playoff team, which is well-deserved. I could see them winning the SEC championship possibly. But
speaking of a team that needs to win out to make the playoffs, we have Penn State losing again. But this week, they lost to UCLA. And I didn't watch that game, but I have a question.
Sure.
You know exactly what I'm going to ask. Who was playing quarterback for UCLA? Was it Nico?
Yep. I am Aliva.
I am Aliva, yeah.
Or I am Aleva, however you pronounce his name. He's got a weird last name. Yes, he was the starting quarterback. Correct. And they did not win a single game up until they beat Penn State. And this is not, it would be one thing for them to take an upset and lose, but the fact that you come off of a loss against Oregon the week before, with like I mentioned, I think it was last week's episode, once that did happen, they are awful against top 25 ranked teams, top 10 ranked teams, Big 10 teams that are ranked. It's bad. It's very bad. But for them to come out against an 0-4 UCLA team and lose after losing the week prior, I don't even know if winning out will help them make the playoffs at all.
I know. I mean, I'm not saying that this is a reason to why they're doing it, why they're not playing as well. They did lose two key pieces to the team, one on offense, one on defense. Obviously, they're not the entire team, but I do know Penn State does love their tight ends.
Yep, with Warren and Abdul Carter, I guarantee you the names. Yeah, and you're right, but for some reason, which we'll touch on this a little bit too very quick at the end of our college football part of the segment, is they have not seen good quarterback play from Drew Aller this year. He was projected to make a very, very big step in his career and solidify himself as one of the top quarterbacks in college football. Now, his name is technically still up there because a lot of other big names have also underperformed this year, but they expected him to go and be that guy for them, and he has not looked nearly as good as he was projected to look, along with a lot of others. But now you also have the fact that you have to play not only Michigan, because they're still on their schedule, they're also going to have to play Ohio State. And you already have two losses. You lose one more,
you're done.
You're done. There's no three-loss team in this year that I think will make the playoff at all. Just like they haven't really in the past. They may make a few exceptions. That is not an exception. And that's if they only finish with 3 losses. They may finish with 4 or more.
I would say this season's disappointing so far for Penn State.
Disappointing is not even the word for it. It's embarrassing. And
I wasn't going to be the one to say that.
I will, because I'll keep it very blunt. I'll say what I need to say about it. And I'm not even saying it because I'm angry about it. I'm just keeping it 100% real here. And I would not be surprised if this is James Franklin's last season as head coach of Penn State, especially if they lose games to Michigan and Ohio State to close the year out and they miss the playoff. He's gone. And he very well should be. Now, another team, which is also struggling, which this one I'm not angry about. I'm actually kind of happy about it a little bit.
You knew it.
Because I knew it, was Texas. They also lost this past week, which I couldn't believe, to Florida. Now, Florida's very strange. They were ranked earlier in the year. They lost a couple games. And then they ended up beating
the Gators. Florida Gators.
Yeah, the Florida Gators. They didn't beat LSU. I forget who else they beat. They beat someone else.
No, was it?
No. LSU beat them 20-10 because they intercepted DJ Lagway 5 times. I remember that game. It was 20-10. But Florida ended up beating Texas this week. And Texas now has 2 losses. And their schedule does not get easier down the rest of the line either. So again, I sit here. It is very possible that Texas does not make the playoffs. Both them
they
and
they beat LIU.
LIU. That's is that
I think it's Long Island University.
maybe, I don't know. But yeah, going back to what I just said, Penn State and Texas both were ranked super high, and they're both out of the top 25 now. Both. And if Texas ends up losing one more game, their season is also probably over. Now, granted, I don't know if that means that Sarkisian gets fired, because I think Sarkisian's been very, very good for them as well. But it's at the point now where I sit here and I look at you guys and I say to you, I have apology forms ready for you to send me. Because every single person that I said, oh, Arch Manning's not ready yet, and all of you bashed and said, oh, how that's ridiculous. He's super talented. Texas is going to be one of the best teams in the country, blah, blah, blah. And all I said was, He didn't really prove anything yet. Give him a full season as a starter and let him prove it. And I will prove to you that it's going to be a tough road for him. And who was right on that one? I was. And I'm not saying it to be cocky and rub it in your faces. But like I said, a lot of people were saying to me how great Arch Manning was when he did not do anything to prove that he was a number 1 pick. Is he a number 1 pick now? Nope. He's not. He may not even come out of college. He may stay in college one more year because his draft stock right now,
down the drain.
It's down the drain. I'm not going to say that he wouldn't get drafted. He'd probably get drafted very late. But he wants to be a number 1 pick like everyone thought he was going to be just because of the last name on the back of his jersey. But it also kind of helps him a little bit as well, too, even with the draft stock that will kind of transition into this. All of the quarterbacks that were up at the top of that board have really not looked that great. You have DJ Lagway, who was supposed to be a very, very big name.
I was about to say.
Underperformed, throws 5 interceptions against LSU. Garrett Nussmeier hasn't really performed to the greatest level. They lost to Ole Miss the week prior. Kind of struggled a little bit. He hasn't really been making many mistakes, but they were expecting him to make a huge jump. He did not. Drew Aller, another one. Not a big jump. About very similar to what he was last year, maybe a little bit worse. Then you also have names like Lenoris Sellers from South Carolina. Hasn't really impressed many people. Cade Klubnik from Clemson. I said before the year was a possibility that he could win the Heisman.
Yeah, the Heisman candidate, you said that.
He ain't winning no Heisman. They have 3 losses, I believe. And that team has not looked good at all. I mean, he's had his moments, but it's at the point where the top 3 quarterbacks in college football,
Carson Beck.
Well, Carson Beck's looked okay, too. He'll have his moment, though, too. Because he did at Georgia as well. But,
Miami's ranked at number 2.
They are. But trust me, I'm not going to be disrespectful. Miami will find a way to lose at one point, too. I can promise you that. Because they played it really close against Notre Dame, too. Notre Dame actually had them on the ropes and should have beaten them, but they cost themselves with a couple big mistakes.
Well, Notre Dame isn't bad.
They're also not that great.
They're not that great, but they're not the worst.
I know. They're better than most other unranked schools, yes. But my thing is, now you sit here and you say, who are the top 3 quarterbacks in college football as of right now? Ty Simpson for Alabama? No one would have seen that coming, including myself. I'd say John Mateer of Oklahoma has been up there. He's been very, very good for Oklahoma. There's a reason why that they're ranked as high as they are. It's very, very tough. Fernando Mendoza from Indiana could potentially be a name. I know that obviously they lost this week. It's their first loss of the year. Diego Pavia from Vanderbilt. These are some of the guys that nobody was saying their names before the season started. And now you look at the way that the season's played out, they're on teams that are either one-loss teams or no-loss teams. And all the teams that have big-name guys, bless you, like Garrett Nussmeier, bless you again, like Garrett Nussmeier and Drew Aller and some of these other guys are all on teams that 2 losses, 3 losses. That's not good. And I feel bad for whoever's NFL teams are going to have good draft picks because they may get screwed if they don't have they don't have a good quarterback and they're looking to draft a QB next year. Realistically, who would you want? I mean, yeah, granted, they look at a lot of the tangible skill sets and say, oh, this guy is, he's a big body frame. He's got a good arm. He's shifty. He's mobile, blah, blah, blah. And they figure that they could work with that. And I know that's what a lot of teams do. But, a lot of them in the past have led their teams to great levels of success. And now it's like these quarterbacks that are all going to get drafted, if they end up going in the first round, are all going to be on 2 and 3 loss teams. I mean, that's a big concern. That's a very big concern. I think the QB play in college this year, other than a couple guys, which, like I said, nobody really knew who they were, has been horrible. Horrible. This may be a very defensive player-orientated draft as well as maybe skill positions like running back, receiver, tight end. Obviously, the O-line is very important. They may not really take many quarterbacks.
I know UConn has been better than they were last year, but when their quarterback is top 10 in passing yards in the entire college football as a whole.
I'm telling you, it is a big concern. The college quarterbacks this year.
Baylor has the top.
Can I see the list?
Yes, you can.
I'm curious to see the list. Let me see.
That's passing yards.
Sawyer Robertson. All conference players passing stats. Wow. Ty Simpson is 16th. Wow. Now, granted, they play against some other really weird, strange teams, but all those guys that we talked about that were supposed to be these big draft picks, none of them are even in the top 20. You have freshman quarterbacks like Bryce Underwood and Julian Sayin that are outplaying juniors and seniors that are expected to be drafted. That's a big problem. That's a very, very big problem.
Dylan Raiola hasn't been that great either.
Well, I'm not even going to bring him up because I'll say some very, very mean things because he's literally just biting Patrick Mahomes style. Everything about him, he's literally Patrick Mahomes 2.0 minus the level of skill. I mean, he's decent, and I think that he'll definitely get looked at, but I just don't like the way that he comes off and literally is trying to be Patrick Mahomes so bad.
So Nussmeier and Manning are back-to-back at 65 and 66.
Number 1 draft pick, by the way. Yeah. That's all I'll say on that before we kind of transition here into the NFL.
Now,
we got a lot of stuff.
Are we going to continue? Are we going to go back to what I said? Are we going to talk about the Philly fans?
Yeah, we'll get into that at some point because that's one of the other teams we'll bring up. I actually may skip over a couple things here. We could touch on a few of the upsets that we saw. I'm going to focus more on 4 upsets that we saw.
Let me see if I can get them.
You could probably get them. If you take a guess, you could probably get them.
So
one of them,
2 of them for sure are Buffalo and Philadelphia.
Philadelphia's got 2 of them. I
didn't know we were talking about. I thought we were talking about last week, week 5.
Well, we're also going to talk about last night as well.
Well, no, too. I knew we were going to talk about that, but I thought you were talking about the prior week.
Well, yes, we will as well. So
you have Buffalo,
correct.
Philadelphia,
correct.
Rams.
Yep.
And there's one more, right?
Philly again.
Well, yeah.
From last night.
I thought when you said that, I thought it was 4 from week 5 and then the one from last night.
Well, okay, yeah, I maybe should have phrased it a little bit better too. Well, there is one other one that I guess I can kind of touch on as well too. It wasn't really an upset, but it's a big concern. So we'll start it off with the unfortunate loss that pained me during the middle of the week last week was the San Francisco 49ers beating the Rams 26-23 in overtime. The 49ers were literally down to their backups for almost every single offensive position pretty much, except for their line and Christian McCaffrey. No George Kittle, no Jawan Jennings, no Ricky Pearsall, no Brock Purdy. And the 49ers beat the Rams in LA 26-23.
From what I've heard, I know we said that the resurgence of Sam Darnold could be from Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota. But Sam Darnold came out and said that it was actually from him sitting behind Brock Purdy for a year in San Francisco and learning how to make better reads and decisions. And when I first saw that, I was like, okay, Brock Purdy's a system quarterback. He's not going to be – put him anywhere else, he's going to be doing exactly what Sam Darnold was doing. But then you have a guy like Mac Jones come out here, and he's playing like he did at Alabama.
Yeah. Well, the big thing was also him, but Kendrick Bourne.
Oh, yeah, I know. Well, what I'm saying is I think a lot of people are undermining Brock Purdy's ability to play in the NFL only because he was the last pick in the draft. And they're saying that San Francisco's offensive system is perfect for him, but if he helped Sam Darnold put together a solid year last year, and Sam Darnold's playing well this year too, and then you have him go out for a few games, and you look at the depth chart and see Mac Jones, you look at Mac Jones and you think they're not going to score 10 points. Mac Jones threw for 300-plus yards last Thursday against the Rams. We don't have a bad defense.
Well, we don't have a bad defense. We have a bad secondary. Our pass rushers are very, very good. One of them is second in sacks right now still, and that's Byron Young. How
many sacks does he have?
5.5 in 5 games.
I think I know who has the most.
Who?
I think it's Brian Burns.
No, it's currently right now it's Nick Pitino from the Denver Broncos. He had 7 through week 4. And I think, or 7 through week 5, so he's up there. I just saw the list the other day. I wouldn't be surprised if Burns is in that conversation.
If we're factoring in last night's game, I think it might be Burns right now.
Well,
I think he had a few of them last night.
Going off of just week 5 alone, it was Pitino, and then Byron Young was right behind him at 5.5. But the Rams' pass rushers are fine. It's their secondary. I mean, letting Kendrick Bourne go for 100 plus. I don't even remember if it was 140. He may have gone for more than that. They let him go bananas. But aside from the fact that the 49ers offense kind of stalled out in the second half, the first half they looked almost unstoppable against the Rams secondary. Second half, the Rams kind of locked in a little bit more. But the thing at least I'll bring up,
factoring in last night's game, Brian Burns is tied in first for 7.
For 7, okay. Yeah, I figured. So is Byron Young still third on there?
Yes, he is.
I figured. Okay, so now that we'll kind of go into the Rams talk with Byron Young on the side, I know the 49ers obviously won that game, but there's one person that I really do want to talk about from this.
Drake May's top 5 in passing yards.
Mm-hmm. We'll get there because we'll talk about the Patriots and Bills as well. Matthew Stafford is playing to an MVP level this year. Currently leads the league in passing yards. I believe he's second in touchdowns, only behind Jared Goff. He has been lighting it up. And I'm so glad that other people are starting to finally catch on and realize that Matthew Stafford is a top 5 quarterback in football. I've been saying that, and people said, oh, no, well, Baker's in the conversation, which no disrespect to Baker, because Baker, another one who's playing at an MVP level right now. But people were saying, oh, well, Baker's in it. Well, Jalen Hurts is in it. Well, blah. No.
Jalen Hurts is not a top 5 quarterback.
The way he played the other night, which we will talk about at the end of this, he ain't even top 10. Okay? He's not. But Matthew Stafford continues to prove week in and week out that he is one of the best quarterbacks in football. He makes some throws look so easy.
Yeah, he has one less passing touchdown.
Yeah, I think Goff has 12 and he has 11.
Yeah, that's exactly how it is.
Yeah. He has been absolutely stellar. So I hope that the Rams can address the secondary issue, because then you are literally wasting a possible MVP season from Stafford.
Now,
on top of Puka Nacua being on pace to break Calvin Johnson's receiving record and receptions record in the single season.
Now, I'm not going to say I'm surprised by who's behind Stafford for the...
I know who it is.
But I'm going to say it's kind of not... Like, it's not going to... I don't know how much longer he's going to keep it up for.
I know exactly... It is Dak Prescott.
Rain Dakota Prescott.
Yeah.
That's his actual name.
That's fine. But Dak Prescott, which will... I mean, I was going to talk about him, but obviously we're taking a little bit longer. We talked a lot about the Yankees and stuff. I will bring him up at some point, but I could just give you something a little brief about him. He's also kind of playing himself into an MVP conversation right now. Not that I think he'd win it, because there's still a lot of names in front of him.
Now, if I see... All right, yeah, Josh Allen's still in conversation.
Oh, the conversation for me right now is Allen, Goff, Stafford, Mayfield, Daniel Jones, and Dak Prescott. Those are your 6.
If I see anybody bring these 2 quarterbacks up in conversation, if I hear anybody mention Mahomes or Lamar Jackson,
they're not in the conversation.
They're not.
Not with their teams with a losing record.
No, not with their team. Another quarterback that could be in conversation who keeps playing at the level he does is maybe Justin Herbert. Could be up there.
Last couple weeks kind of hurt that a little bit, but yes, I did. To be honest with you, when we first were doing this whole thing, I
get that his team doesn't have the best record, but I think MVP shouldn't be based off of a winning record. I think it should be based off of an overall performance. I also think that the NFL MVP should also be revamped a little bit. They should have an NFL MVP and then an NFL Quarterback of the Year award. Because the only player within the last maybe 10 to 15 years that hasn't won, and that has won an MVP that hasn't been a quarterback, if I am not wrong, is Adrian Peterson.
I believe so. You're probably right. I think you're probably right. Now
it's when he came back from tearing his ACL, and then the year after he just won the MVP.
Yeah, but the thing is, I agree with that too. It's just going back to the Justin Herbert thing. I don't know why I say Justin Hubbard. Justin Herbert thing is the way that Herbert played the last 2 weeks definitely hurt it a little bit. Plus they lost, but it wasn't even really the losses that set him back. It was just the way he performed, especially against the Giants with 2 pretty ugly interceptions.
Yeah.
And the Commanders, he just looked stalled out. I mean, they could not move the ball after their first 2 drives. It was bad. So he was in that conversation, though. When I originally had that up there, he could potentially get there if they can turn things around and get back to being what they were to start after the first 3 weeks.
Yeah. Now, building off of what I said, I think it's not only not fair for everybody else, but it's pretty. Everybody knows that MVP is a quarterback favored award, and then you have players that put up seasons like you had Puka Nacua this year, Cooper Kupp a few seasons ago. You had Justin Jefferson a few seasons ago.
Saquon Barkley last year. Yeah, thank God you said that.
Derrick Henry 2 seasons ago. You have a lot of other players that could have. T.J. Watt when he won All Defensive Player of the Year. Myles Garrett. Like, they are all great. Aaron, yeah, another great example. They're all players that have the potential to win MVP, but they don't get looked at because it's a quarterback-favored award. And I think the NFL should realize that and have a separate award for that. That should just be called the NFL's Quarterback of the Year award.
Yep. I think they should do that for every position. Give out awards for best running back, best quarterback, best receiver.
I think they do that, but they don't give them actual like awards. But I think that should be an actual thing.
That's what I mean.
But because I think they should do. I don't think they should do it position by position. I just think it would be a more interesting conversation and talk.
Yeah.
If you have players like, say, you have Justin Jefferson. I can picture this: Stephen A. Smith and someone else arguing over whether Justin Jefferson or Aaron Donald deserves MVP, instead of having the conversation of, is it Jones or is it Stafford?
Yeah.
I feel like that would be way more interesting, because when you look at it, you see the stats some of the defensive players are putting up, and they're absolutely absurd, and they don't even get talked about.
I know they don't. Well, Aaron Donald had 20 and a half sacks in one season and didn't even get looked at when he easily could have.
J.J. Watt could have won MVP one year, too.
I agree with that. And the thing is, not that this is a little bit off topic, you said Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones right now, I think, has an award already pretty much locked up. And that's Comeback Player of the Year award.
You have to be coming off of an injury to win that now.
That is not true. I looked up the qualifications the other night, and it says they have to face any form of adversity, whether it means missing time due to injury or missing time due to being benched or replaced. And he was benched last year and traded and sat on the practice squad for the Vikings the whole season.
True.
So he does qualify for that award. And right now, the way he's playing, if Indianapolis wins that division, that is your Comeback Player of the Year, folks. And people will even say, oh, well, what about McCaffrey because McCaffrey was hurt? Not to disrespect McCaffrey because he is having a good year. Well, what about Dak Prescott? He's playing to an MVP caliber, consideration right now, and he was hurt last year. I get that. And those guys are deserving. But the way that Daniel Jones has played over the past couple of weeks, if that play continues and he goes from being looked at as one of the worst quarterbacks in football, getting benched, getting traded, and sitting on a practice squad, to coming out and winning a division for another team, that is your Comeback Player of the Year, without a question.
I'm not going to lie. I think the Colts are going to make a run in the playoffs.
They are a lot better than people give them credit for. I was scared out of my mind when the Rams played them.
See the Colts in the Super Bowl, I am wearing my Daniel Jones jersey to the Super Bowl watch party. I am going to sit there and root for the Colts because that's my guy. I know I bashed him several times, but I mean...
You know what you should do? Take the Daniel Jones jersey you have. Does it have the Giants logo?
Yeah.
Just put a piece of tape over it and draw a Colts logo on it, and it'll look like the Colts jerseys. They're the same colors. That nobody would even realize. You could get away with that, but that would be pretty funny. But getting back into what we were talking about. So Stafford was obviously already playing to an MVP consideration as well, too, but obviously they lost to the 49ers. Do they bounce back? I think they do. They do play the Ravens this week, possibly no Lamar Jackson. I think they bounce back this week.
Speaking of players that have an award on lock, if they keep, you called this player, you called it, if they keep producing the way that they are, Offensive Rookie of the Year is a guaranteed win for Emeka Egbuka.
Well, actually, I'm appreciative that you gave me the flowers there because I did say that before the season started because I knew that this kid's going to be it's Ohio State University produces.
Did you see Gronk try and pronounce his name?
I know, it was horrible. He said Egbuka. What was it? Egbuka or Egbuka?
He goes Emeka. He goes Egmika.
And who was it? Edelman even looked at him and goes, dude, it's a silent G. I think it was Egbuka. It's Egbuka. Emeka Egbuka.
He goes,
I don't know.
So he said something stupid.
Yeah, I did see the video, though. But, yes, I did agree that I thought Emeka Egbuka was going to be the Offensive Rookie of the Year. And I was saying that before the season even started, and I'm glad that I'm kind of right. But there is somebody else, other than Tyler Warren, that was kind of creeping up on him a little bit. And I know you'll be happy about this.
Jackson Dart.
No. Cam Scatterbo.
Cam Scatterbo too, yeah.
If he keeps playing the way that he's playing, there could be a chance that he
Cam
may be in that
Scatterbo is
conversation.
Gronk if he was a running back.
My point exactly. He's been a tank for the Giants. He's been a big reason why they won their 2 games against Philadelphia and
Chargers.
And the Chargers. He was a big reason why. And he didn't play the first couple weeks because they gave the role to Tracy up until he got hurt. But now that he's their number 1, he's been a star. And it's like this guy may genuinely give Egbuka a run for his money for the Offensive Rookie of the Year, because if Evans and Godwin come back and his production drops in the slightest bit, and Warren has a slow little kick down, I'm not going to say by a lot, and Scatterbo keeps going the way that he's going.
Warren won't have a little kick down. Daniel Jones loves his tight ends.
Well, I know, but
that's why I took Tyler Warren in fantasy.
Yeah.
Like I knew Jones loves his tight ends.
But again, Scatterbo is also putting himself a little bit into that conversation as well. So I wouldn't say that Egbuka's running away with it.
But he's
definitely in the league.
He's the favorite right now.
He is the favorite, and he should have been the favorite. Like I said before the season started.
I am going to say this now. Cam Scatterbo, he's already put the league, not just he put the league on notice. He came in against the Chiefs, and he went off against the Chiefs, and people were like, okay, maybe a fluke. Maybe it was a fluke, Next week against the Chargers, he won't do as good. Yeah, he might have did maybe better against the Chargers than he played against the Chiefs.
And then he was a monster.
And then you have Cameron Jordan, who is a potential Hall of Famer.
No, he is a Hall of Famer.
Cameron Jordan, who is a Hall of Famer at the end of his career, going to the sideline on the Saints game and saying, hey, that number 44 is like a bad little kid. He's a bad little kid.
And he is. He's a monster.
And he goes up to him, and he tackles him, and he goes, this is a grown man's game. And Scatterbo's in his face saying, no, that's 5 yards. Cam Scatterbo is not tall. He is small. And Cameron Jordan is big.
Yeah.
To get in his face and say, nah, it's 5 yards. It's 5 yards. Like that. A lot of people said he wasn't fast enough. He wasn't going to produce the way he did in the NFL like he did at
Arizona
State. A lot of people were saying that he couldn't block. He wasn't great at run blocking. He was not the people who tackle him aren't going to be as bad as the players that he had to face. You look at what Cam Scatterbo's doing, and you're thinking to yourself, why was he a 4th-round draft pick?
It's the same reason why I said the same thing about Puka and Kyron Williams at points too, is why were they 4th and 5th-round picks? And Cam Scatterbo's proven the exact same thing. That dude is a monster. Monster.
He, last night, we'll talk about this later, but he threw Zach Bond for an extra 3 yards. But he threw him off of his shoulder. Literally just ran him right over. And Zach Bond isn't bad.
No, Zach Bond was very, very good. He was in conversation for Defensive Player of the Year last year as well, too.
And he threw him off.
But, yeah, that was nuts. But we'll kind of just touch into the upsets a little bit that we saw. Obviously, we mentioned the Rams losing to the 49ers. You saw the Bills lose. Well, actually, before the Bills, we saw the Eagles lose to the Broncos in Philadelphia. Now, that was a game that was a little unexpected, and I kind of wrote a question down. Should this be a concern? Now, this was before last night's game. Hold on. This was before last night's game. So when I said that, I said, should this be a concern for the Eagles? And I said, it should be a little bit. Now, it may be a little smack in the face to wake them up and say, hey, this is your little bit of adversity you're going to have to go through here, because that was not a pretty way to go out. But it also should be a concern because it proved there is a way to beat Philadelphia.
And I'm not going to praise myself because I don't want to be perceived as cocky, but I said it, I believe, week 1 and week 2 and week 3, and
I said it almost every week.
Every week I have. I've said that Philly is not the same team that they were last year. They do not look the same. They are not playing at the same level that they did last year. And maybe some people thought that it was biased because I'm a Giants fan and I just don't like Philadelphia because I just don't like Philadelphia.
That's a divisional rival, yeah, of course.
But they don't look like Philadelphia. You look at the Giants' defense this year. It's not much different than it was last year. They only added Paulson Adebo, Abdul Carter, and Javon Hall. And those are the only 3 notable signings that they had in the offseason. And there was a D tackle they drafted too. I don't remember his name. I don't want to mess it up. so I'm not just going to say. But you look at what Saquon did last year against the Giants when they played at MetLife. He went off. They couldn't stop him. What did he do last night? Absolutely nothing.
Obviously he didn't. I don't even think he broke 70 yards. I think he only got.
He didn't score.
It's not even that he didn't score, but you're right. Yes, but I don't.
You look at what happened last night, and you see the Eagles.
He had 58 yards. 58.
58 rushing yards.
Yeah.
The Eagles aren't the same team.
No, they don't look that good.
This was a big year for Jalen Hurts, not only for the Eagles, but for Jalen Hurts in his career.
To prove that he was more than a one-hit wonder with the team last year.
Exactly.
And I will say this, not to try and be mean about it.
Because his career trajectory was always on a steady incline, but once he won the Super Bowl, people were starting to put him in top 10 conversations. Top 5 conversations. And you know what I say now? He might not even be top 12.
No, I don't know if he is either. But the thing is, going back to why I don't think that he's part of the reason why they're kind of falling a little bit. But the thing that I was going to say is with the Broncos game, at least they proved that there's a way that you beat the Eagles. And it's very simple. If you can get pressure on the quarterback, on Jalen Hurts, and you could put them in 3rd and long situations to where the tush-push is not a factor, you can beat them. That entire second half of that game against the Broncos, if you look at all of the plays where the Eagles ended up punting a majority of their drives, every single one of them, 1st and 2nd down, they basically got no yards, and they're sitting 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9. There was a couple that were 3rd and 16 because people got sacked or there was a holding penalty. They were 3rd and long a majority of that game, and you forced Jalen Hurts to throw the football, and it didn't work. And we'll bring this up after we bring up the Patriots and Bills because we'll go back to the Giants because it was very similar.
Exactly.
In a sense. And so, like we kind of mentioned before, I think it was a little bit of a concern for the Eagles before that ever happened. On the other side of it, that was a big turning moment in the Broncos season. And I kind of felt that way before because I said multiple times, and you've heard me say this as well, the Broncos have one of the best defensive units in football.
I know.
Other than maybe the Texans, those are the 1 and 2s right now, in my opinion. And it was only a matter of time before they started getting some wins.
I see the Broncos whooping the Jets this week.
I would also see that, which will make our predictions in a little bit too.
I am also delusional, and I do also see the Broncos losing to the Giants in Denver.
I don't know. We'll get there when we get there. But for the most part, that could be a big turning point of the Broncos season. I like their defense a lot. I think that their offense has its moments, and Bo Nix just really needs to get back on that roll. I know they don't really have many super talented receivers, which was something I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they focus on at their deadline. If they start to get back into a little bit of the hunt, I could see that potentially being an option. And I like the Broncos a lot more than what a lot of people expect. I liked them before the season started. They're a playoff team. Now, they're not a Super Bowl contender, but they are a team that could probably make the playoffs and give some teams a run for their money. Now, the other 2 upsets, which actually I missed one, was they had the Buffalo Bills losing at home to New England, which I did not see that coming at all.
No.
Drake May looks very, very good. And I was a shocker for me because you probably know which other one I'm going to say too, though. We forgot about the Chiefs and the Jaguars game.
We did forget about that one. But I wanted to apologize because last Thursday, me and Zach, we both said that the Dolphins-Panthers game was going to be an absolute snooze fest. We said it was going to be a really bad game because the Panthers were just coming off of being blown out.
Yeah.
And the Dolphins are the Dolphins.
Yeah, the Dolphins are bad too.
But that game was
a lot better than expected, but Mike McDaniel still needs to be fired. Holy smokes.
Another thing. The Arizona Cardinals are terrible.
Yeah, they're bad.
They intercepted the football fumbled it, and then that led to the Titans scoring the game-winning touchdown.
Basically,
you can't have that happen.
Well, they actually kicked a field goal to win it, but that put them within the point where all they had to do was come down and kick a field goal, and they won. But
that was the game-tying touchdown.
Basically, no, it wasn't even game-tying. They were losing 21-19 at the time because they won 22-21. But I see what you're saying. Two very weird things. The Cardinals, wow, are bad. The Dolphins, woof. Mike McDaniel, please go. Please.
Exactly. They need to get rid of him.
They should have fired him yesterday.
I think it's still Stefanski in Arizona, right?
No, it's Gannon.
I think Gannon needs to call up Kyler Murray and say, you got 2 weeks, either play better football or you're gone. Because
that experiment needs to come to an end big time, too. It's just pathetic. And plus, you saw that Gannon got fired for putting his hands on Amari DiMercato after he fumbled a 71-yard touchdown run right at the goal line. He dropped the ball before he crossed the end zone, and he got fined $100,000 for basically not smacking him in the face, but hitting him in the chest on the sideline, which that was stupid. But both the Cardinals and Dolphins, geez Louise, you guys are both garbage. And it's funny because we will mention someone at the end of the show who's a Cardinals fan. But that being said, now we kind of go into the Buffalo Bills and Patriots. Drake May looked really good. Stephon Diggs had a huge breakout game. I think it was 10 catches for 146 yards.
I also will apologize to the Patriots fans. I know there were some people coming after me saying, "Oh, you don't think that we know that Stephon Diggs is coming off of a torn ACL, like whatever." Last week against the Bills, and then the week prior they played. I forgot who they played. It was another
Panthers because they beat the crap.
Yeah, they played the Panthers. Back-to-back weeks, Stephon Diggs has played very, very well.
Yeah, that's starting to be a good connection.
He's looked like the Stephon Diggs that you saw in Minnesota.
Yeah, I
End
agree.
of Minnesota, beginning of Buffalo.
Yep, I agree with that. And the thing is,
the one thing that the New England needed was a solid number one receiver.
And they got it.
Because you can't rely on Keyshawn Booty or
it's basically Keyshawn Booty. Or Demario Douglas.
Demario Douglas.
That's been a horrible, horrible room for a while. But the thing I will say is I was a little skeptical about Drake May when they first drafted him because I think we all know this. The last quarterback to get drafted out of North Carolina before Drake May was Mitch Trubisky. And we saw how that played out. He had one good year, and then after that fell way the hell off. Drake May had a good year last year, and I was like, you know what? I want to see him connect the dots again, and let's see what he can do with some decent receivers and some other weapons now that they added Stephon Diggs. And boy, oh boy, he has been very, very good. If I was a Patriots fan, I'd be very satisfied knowing that Drake May is your future right now. They are just really a couple weapons away from being a legit team. And they still may end up being a playoff team, too, if they can string some wins together, because I said that before the season started, that there was a possibility
Aren't they second in their division right now?
They are, yeah. They're second in their division. They could potentially find a way to sneak into a wild card spot, especially with the AFC being as weird as it has been this year. So shout out to the Patriots. Shout out to Drake May.
If the AFC continues the way it does, I think there may be a chance the Chiefs don't even sniff the playoffs.
It's possible. Starting 2-4, which it's a good thing you mentioned the Chiefs. They lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars on Monday night.
I know that was pretty.
I took the Chiefs that game because I figured, maybe Jacksonville's not that great.
I said it. Remember, I said it on Thursday. I said the game's going to go one of two ways. I said it's going to be the Chiefs being dominant and the Jaguars playing up to their level and maybe winning, or the Jaguars are going to play terrible and the Chiefs are going to go down to their level and barely squeak out of there to win.
Yep, and
I was right on the dot with that.
Yeah, that was smart, and that was a very good call. But I was just shocked because of not just the fact that the Jaguars won, the play that won them the game. Trevor Lawrence drops back and falls, and gets back up a little bit and falls again, and then gets back up and just waltzes into the end zone.
I was watching the game on ESPN, but then I saw the Manning cast. I forgot who was on at the time. It was Eli Payton. There was one other person. I forgot who it was. But they saw him slip, and Eli goes, "Oh, no, he slipped." And then Payton goes, "He's back up."
And then he fell again. He slipped again.
And then he goes, "Oh, no, he's going to go again." and then you see him dive, and then the third person's touch. Like they're like, I don't know how he scored on that.
That was insane.
Chris Jones was nowhere to be found on that play.
Now, another big thing about that, though, is I think a big reason why the Jaguars are starting to play better is not only Trevor Lawrence looking a little bit better.
Travis Hunter
Has been very, very good.
Brian Thomas Jr.
Brian Thomas has been
The
better.
resurgence of Travis Etienne.
That is where I was going. Etienne has been much better. And I think it was only because I took him in fantasy football last year. The year I don't have
I took him in the second round. Last year, he was my second-round pick.
Yeah, last year he was my third-round pick, and I took him, and he stunk for me, and I go, why did I take this guy? And now
That's exactly what I said.
This year, he's incredible again. So I think the Jaguars could very potentially be another team that's squeaky. I don't know if they'll give the Colts a run for the money for the division because I still think the Colts are a better team than they are. But at least record-wise and playoff hunt-wise, the way it's going right now, they could give the Colts a little bit of a run for their money.
Well,
they may be a playoff team.
I wouldn't be surprised if that division goes Colts, Jaguars,
Texans,
Titans.
Yeah. And I would have never predicted that before the season started. I said that it was going to end up being Texans in first, the Titans, well, no, not the Titans, sorry. The Colts maybe in second, Jaguars third, Titans fourth. I could have said that. I am very, very surprised at the way that that's gone. But the last thing we're going to touch on before we make our final predictions for the week, which we got to get through this pretty fast, is another upset which happened last night, which was the New York Giants putting belt to ass on the Philadelphia Eagles at MetLife Stadium. I know you've been wanting to talk about that. We kind of did a little bit. Cam Scatabo again, man. Absolute freight train. Ran for 98 yards and 3 touchdowns last night. Jackson Dart played very well. I know he didn't have many passing yards. He had 175, I believe.
No, he didn't. He had 191.
Or 191.
195.
195. Okay, I thought it was maybe a 7. 195. Not bad. He threw a touchdown. He also ran for a 20-yard touchdown.
I will say this, Jackson Dart might be one of the players in the NFL that has the coldest touchdown dance celebrations.
Yeah, well,
you saw last night. Him and Theo Johnson, they did the Thriller dance.
Yeah,
and then you saw him and Cam dance, and then
he's got a little bit of swagger in him, especially when he went to college in Mississippi playing at Ole Miss. I mean, that you play some SEC football, that'll change you a little bit. That adds a little bit of spice, if you know what I'm saying. That dude,
yeah,
he knows he's got some sort of aura about him.
You saw on Amon Ra's podcast, Cam Scatabo goes, I know I'm white, but I grew up in the hood. I got a little ghetto in me.
Yeah, I was about to say, both of them are allowed at the cookout. That's for damn sure. Them boys are cooking right now. So, very big win for the Giants. I know,
because I know you said you didn't want to see Jackson Dart play at all, but I'm going to say this as a Giants fan, right? I when they said he was starting, I didn't want him to start only because I saw what happened with Daniel Jones.
That's why I kind of leaned that way.
But then again, I started thinking Daniel Jones wasn't that good at Duke.
Yeah.
And Jackson Dart showed that in Lane Kiffin's offense that he was good at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
And the Giants do like their Ole Miss quarterbacks.
Yeah, no, definitely.
But what I will say is I've never, and I'm saying this because I don't think I've ever seen it. I could be wrong. I've never seen a rookie quarterback come into a spot with not a lot of pressure, but a lot of like hype, and perform the way he has. On draft night, he was called by Dable and he says, "I'm counting on you," or "I'm banking on you," and he goes, "You made the right decision." You don't like.
He's a leader.
He goes. Great decision. You don't say that on your draft. You never met the guy, and you're telling him that he made the right.
Well, he was confident in his skills.
He was confident, but not only that. What I'm saying is you go look at the tape. Dart looks like he doesn't look like he's a rookie. I mean, well, they played against the Saints, but that was due to Dable bad play calling. Kafka, whatever.
It was one bad slip up.
It was one bad slip up, yeah. You look at the game against the Eagles, and the Giants played perfect football for the first time in
A long time.
Last night was the first time I actually enjoyed watching a Giants game since maybe 2016.
Yeah, from start to finish without missing anything.
The playoff game in 2022, but that was like nothing.
Yeah, that was the most enjoyable though. I know my Giants friends were freaking out about it.
And another thing I also said, someone was going to step up because they had to step up, and they did. Wan'Dale Robinson, you had 6 receptions, 84 yards, and a touchdown.
Yeah, he played very, very well in the absence of Malik Neighbors.
The defense looked phenomenal.
Yeah. Picking Jalen Hurts off in the red zone, that was a big one as well, too.
Yeah, Cordell Flott.
Yeah, that was a great play by him. Bad read by Jalen Hurts, though, because I
A.J.
saw the clip.
Brown was
wide open, and he was pissed after they intercepted that pass. He didn't even make an effort to go and chase the guy back down. He just kind of stood in the end zone. So you could see his frustrations boiling.
Well, another thing I was going to say is that Jalen Hurts has a great team built around him, and if he can't figure out a way to win, then that says something about him as a player, not the Eagles as a team.
Yeah.
Last year was the first year you saw Saquon as an Eagle, right? Mm-hmm. So you're like, okay, how are we going to defend this? You don't know how he's going to be. So you would spend your entire week game planning to stop A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. Then you see Saquon go out there and do unreal video game-like numbers, and you're like, well, we have to stop Saquon, which leaves A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith open. Now teams are like, we know how to stop Saquon and A.J. Brown at the same time, and Jalen Hurts is like, what do I do? He's kind of, in a way, it looks like he's panicking.
It's basically him saying, here, touch my butt cheeks.
When his first read isn't there, he looks to Saquon for the check down. If that's not there, he either A, throws a ball, he overthrows the receiver.
Yeah.
B, chucks the ball out of bounds. C, tries to run. Or D, throws an interception.
Or E, tell him to run the tush push every single play. That's literally what it's been. They ran it 4 times in a row last night.
I don't understand why Jalen Hurts gets the praise that he does.
I don't either, and I like him.
He deserved it after he won the Super Bowl because they beat the Chiefs because they were red hot in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Whatever. Super Bowl MVP. But I've heard of Super Bowl hangovers before, but this is like something I've never seen.
Yeah, the thing is, I like Jalen Hurts too because I was at Alabama when he was there, and I always liked him. I thought that he would be very, very good once he kind of developed his passing. And he did show signs of development when he went to Oklahoma, and even when he's played in the NFL the past couple of years, he looked like he got better. But for people to be putting him in the conversation of top 10 quarterbacks when he, other than 1 year, he really hasn't proven much is way, way overhyped. It's insane. So these people got to take a step back. Listen, Philly fans, I know last night was a very, very rough night for you. You saw the Flyers lose. You saw your Philadelphia Phillies get knocked out of the playoffs, and you saw the Eagles take belt to ass from the New York Giants. But there is no reason at all for people to be saying that Jalen Hurts is a top 10 quarterback when you know that's not the truth. It's not. Especially during this season, he's not.
I'm not going to lie. If they keep playing the way that they do, I wouldn't be surprised if A.J. Brown requests a trade.
I wouldn't be surprised if he does anyway. He's already been frustrated since week 1. Not getting passes, and he's sitting there saying, I want to contribute. And I get it, but if you're winning, zip it. You'll get your targets. But he does not want to. He's been complaining about this since last year, and they won the Super Bowl last year.
No, I know, but at the same time, right? I get you have another good receiver and a great running back. He's a big body receiver. Jalen Hurts, if he doesn't know what to do, he should look to A.J. Brown to bail him out.
I listen.
But
and
instead, he's throwing the ball to Jahan Dotson when he's in trouble.
And Dallas Goedert.
Going
crazy.
And Grant Calcaterra or whatever.
Yeah, but still, there's no. If you are winning games, I get he wants to contribute, but there's still no reason.
No, I know, but what Hurts is doing is he's throwing the one-on-one ball to those guys when instead you should be throwing it to A.J. Brown because A.J. Brown will come down with the football, 100% guaranteed.
Well, yeah, I get what you're saying.
The other guys, right. Devontae Smith, there's like an 80% chance he comes down with the ball, but everybody else, it's 50-50.
That's true. Now, to close out the show here, we'll do our picks for the week, and then we will officially sign off for the day.
Well, also, quickly, do we think that I know you're going to probably say, I'm going to say yes. But do you think that as the weeks go on, Dart will only get better as he plays?
I think he will a little bit too. It's going to come with reps.
What people are going to say is, yeah, they won, but the lack of passing yards, the lack of passing touchdowns. But you look at it, right? You have Scatterbo, who has 3 touchdowns, and you have Dart. For a rookie playing against the Super Bowl champions, putting up 195, 1 passing touchdown, and rushing for a 20-yard touchdown, that's not bad. That's impressive.
No, I think it'll come with time, too.
Especially as a rookie.
Yeah, I think it'll come with time. I think he just needs more reps.
I think if Dart keeps playing the way he does, he could also, I'm not saying he's going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, but I'm saying he could be up there in conversation for it.
He may, but I still think that that's a long shot for him as well, too. But like I said, I think it's going to come with reps. He's only, 3 games into his career.
But he looks calm and composed.
He does.
And when he makes a mistake, he looks upset. When he makes a mistake, he's upset. He wants to be successful. One thing I will say is he does have to take the advice that John Gruden gave him, and he has to stop looking for contact.
Yeah. Otherwise, he's going to get himself hurt. But like we kind of said before we can go into our picks here, he will get better. It's going to take time. He still doesn't really have the greatest weapons. Obviously, Scatabo's there. Wandale stepped up. Not having Malik Neighbors hurts. Theo Johnson's been pretty good.
You know who stepped up last night?
Who?
Little Jordan Humphrey.
Yeah. No, but like I said, there's a lot of guys that once he starts building a little more chemistry and settling in, I think he will get better over time. You have not seen the best of what he's had to offer yet, because I saw it in college too. When he has his big game, he's going to start rolling a little bit more. So it will take time, but he will get there. But to close it out, let's go through the picks real quick. We don't even really have to go too crazy with it. I'll say the game. You tell me who you think. I'll say who I think, and we'll kind of move on.
Got it.
So, Broncos versus Jets in London.
Broncos.
I'm going to go Broncos. The Browns versus the Steelers in Pittsburgh.
I'm taking the Steelers.
I'm also taking the Steelers that game. Then you have the wow, I almost just said St. Louis. Oh, God. The LA Rams at the Baltimore Ravens.
This
possibly no Lamar.
This could be an interesting one, because the Ravens got belt to ass by the Texans last week.
Yeah.
But Cooper Rush he only had a week to learn the playbook. And I get some people may say, a week is more than enough to learn the playbook. It's really not.
It was for Baker Mayfield.
Well, I was gonna get to that. What some quarterbacks, when they I'm saying this, we may never see what Baker Mayfield did ever again. He went to LA within 3 days' notice, learned the playbook. Not only learned the playbook, led the team to a game-winning drive.
Yeah, dog.
That game revived his career.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%.
If he didn't play well that game, I don't know if he would have been on the Bucs right now.
Nope. I agree. That was huge. But yeah, Cooper Rush did not have much time to learn it. I mean, he was the backup the whole season, so technically he should have already known it as well too.
No, I know, but there's a difference between learning the playbook and then actually getting reps. Because when he was getting reps at practice, he was on the number 2 squad.
Yeah.
So he had all the backups, but he got bumped up to the 1 squad, and at this time, right? You don't know. You don't have a connection with the receivers, the tight end. You have.
Well, we don't know how he'll do